You'll never find anything more simple yet versatile as a slingshot. You can do everything from light backyard plinking to taking down small game, or even, as you may have seen in recent news, the taking down of a bad guy. You may have heard about the little boy who rescued his sister from a kidnapper. In my time of being out here on YouTube, I've reviewed a lot of different slingshot frames, and I get a little tickled every now and then doing the reviews on these slingshots, because although I find different things about different frames that I like and want to talk about, at the end of the day, it is a fork that we're talking about here. And there are even people out there who don't even need the frames anymore. They shoot frameless. But I think the one common thing that we all love about slingshots so much is that you have so much awesomeness and so much simplicity. One of the most rewarding things I ever went on to discover when I got into slingshots was just the joy that come from making your own frame and shooting rocks. I mean, you got to think, with the exception of your bands, you've pretty much self-sourced everything you need to shoot. Back in the day, your old timers would use gum rubber. I even heard about some dudes using like inner tubes from like bike tires and stuff. Pouches were even fairly easy to come up with. Being that we're talking about slingshot origins and going back to the basics, I want to do a little show and tell and show you a natural fork that I made very early in the game when I first started learning how to make natural forks. I had so much fun doing this, man. I made like so many of them, but there are none that I made that I am more crazy about than this one right here. This one just turned out perfect. This to me is just the perfect fork, and I painted this thing red, and I know some of you have seen it before. I have always used this frame to shoot rocks with, because Nathan at Simple Shot, you know, was always driving home not to shoot rocks through the Simple Shot frames, you know, because you didn't want to get them messed up. And you know, I agree, so I go out and make my own frames with wood, and it was such an awesome journey making these things. But the next thing I needed to do was just find the right kind of band sets, the right pouch for shooting rocks, you know, because I wanted something that could handle some heavier ammo. And I've used all kinds. I've used the rock choker bands that you used to could get from Fowler Makery and Mischief. I don't think he sells them anymore. I don't think that Simple Shot sells them unless you want to buy the materials to make your own, and I have done that. Not the biggest fan of making my own, even though I know how. Sometimes I just mess it up and it's so tedious, but I picked these up right here from Gamekeeper John. He's got a really cool slingshot channel. He sells these double TheraBand sets right here, and with a decent sized pouch, and that's what I've been using as of late, and I love these things for shooting rocks. Maybe you're watching this and you've never made your own slingshot before. It's probably just a handful of you, but if you haven't, you really need to, because it's not difficult. You can go right into the woods, into the forest, cut you a perfect fork off a tree. You just want to look for a good shape with a decent size fork width, and just cut that thing and then go carve it, sand it, make it pretty, and it's ready to shoot once you put bands on it. And it's hard to beat the satisfaction that comes from making your own slingshot, banding it up, taking a little smooth stone off the ground, and then making a solid connection with your target. And I'm telling you, if you've got a slingshot setup that can shoot rocks, you got something dangerous in your hand. I'm gonna take this natural fork here with this double TheraBand setup, this big old pouch. I'm gonna shoot some stones. I'm a little more careful when I'm shooting rocks and uneven surfaces, especially heavier ammo. Sometimes I'll wear something to protect my hand, and most definitely my eyes. Whew. God, can you imagine getting cracked with that? This setup hits really hard. Whew, golly. This double TheraBand setup I got from Gamekeeper John is definitely the best rock chucking band setup I've ever used. I'm just getting a lot of speed. This can most definitely bring home game and drive off bad guys. Shooting this way is so fast and powerful, but do be careful. I do recommend safety glasses with this, because rocks are uneven, they can veer off, they can ricochet very easily. Also, allow some width in between your forks. I wouldn't get a super narrow fork to shoot rocks through. You don't have to go with this same kind of setup as I do, but you just want bands that are strong enough to shoot the rocks fast and you want a pouch that's big enough to accommodate the stone. Now that doesn't mean you have to shoot really large stones. I wouldn't, because they're going to be slow. Try to get one that's maybe the size of a 1/2-inch steel ball or something. I look for stuff like this right here, even enough to put inside of a pouch. I hope you've enjoyed this, my friend. You know, getting back to the basics and getting back old school with a slingshot is so much fun. It's awesome to think that you can easily self-source this kind of power, efficiency, and survivability. Do you do a lot of rock chucking, my friend? I'd love to hear your story, you know, the kind of band setups that you use, how you like to do it, and what kind of success you've had with it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.